Hi guys, I just finished my driving test theory and I thought to share with you what I did in preparing for this test. It took me about roughly 4 weeks to prepare and ace the test, which I aced in just one sitting. This is my first try. There's an application you should download, which is the 4-in-1 driving theory. I think that's the name. Yeah, it's 4-in-1. It is amazing. Try to download the application. You have to pay for it though, but download it and use it. It is one of the things that really helped me, that I didn't have to read the whole highway code and everything, all the materials and resources that you should consume for your theory test. I didn't have to read all of them, but all I did was to practice, practice, practice. I had tons and tons of mock tests, tons and tons of perception tests, hazard perception tests, and I just managed to glance through some of the key things on the highway code. Just glance through it once. I also sort of grabbed some of the key areas like the road markings, what each sign you see means, and then what to do in an emergency and all of that. Talking about the emergency service and everything. What you should do when you see somebody who has been in an accident or you have been involved in an accident. So such key areas are things that you should learn about, but majorly you need to do a lot of mock tests, and that would help you go a long way towards acing your actual theory test. And the funny thing is, by the time I was done doing all the theory mock tests and I eventually did the practice test on the official, is it the DVSA website, I aced it. It was 50 out of 50, and for the perception test, it was 6 out of 6. So I would advise anybody to use the 4-in-1 or use the official DVSA or DVLA application to practice. Emphasis on practicing, doing your mock test countless times as much as possible. And each time, what I do is to flag the questions that I'm not very sure of. And then when I'm done, I go through all the incorrect answers that I've given, check the hints to see why I failed them, and the ones I failed, the ones that I marked as flagged questions, I sort of checked what the actual answers are. Even if I was correct in those questions, I am pretty sure I just used my gut feel to make that choice. So I checked to ensure why that is correct, So that was the way I built my vocabulary, built my understanding of all that I need to know to pass my theory test. Very importantly, until I booked my appointment, I was just reading the highway code and just got demotivated a week into it. And so, but when I booked my theory test, I booked it 1 month ahead, so I needed that time to just keep practicing and practicing the mock test. Right, if you found this useful, please share with your friends and people you think would need to use this to prepare for their theory test. So guys, fast forward 6 months later, after I've written my theory test, I had my practical test yesterday and I passed. So this is thanks to a lot of practice, a lot of YouTube videos, practice, preparing, practicing, YouTube videos, even more YouTube videos, 1 minute shorts and all that on parallel parking, forward bay parking, reverse bay parking, emergency stop, and all that. But what I can tell you for a fact is, above all and beyond your planning and practicing, you need to pray. Pray for good weather, pray for the right conditions, that everything will just work in your favor, because it takes one crazy driver, one crazy road user, one crazy pedestrian to ruin the entirety of your test. So you could practice all there is to practice, you could learn all there is to learn, but if the conditions are not in your favor, it's going to backfire and you may likely fail. So for me, God was heavily involved. Even though my car was about to mess the whole thing up for me, I knew God was behind me. So guys, prepare, 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 plan, plan, plan. Practice, practice, practice. Put your nerves on check. Think about it as though you're picking up a friend who knows the direction of where you're going to, and then that would reduce the tension. And try to engage in the small talk. Make good use of your speed limits. I had some minors because I was below speed limits, way below, so they thought I was moving too slow. But yeah, I don't want to overdo it because I drive independently and I probably would speed up if I'm not putting myself in check. So I would rather stay way below the speed limit than unconsciously go over the speed limit, if you see what I mean. So yes, these are the tips I have for you, and I'm happy to share that I passed. So you can do this. I passed the first time for both the theory and practicals, and I'm sure that everyone else can do the same. As long as you practice, you prepare as though there is no God to help you, and you also pray and rely on God as though you've never prepared at all for your test, both the theory and the practical, and you'll be fine. So cheers, guys.